I think that there's a fundamental opportunity and a role for someone to play the role of a doctor. And what I
Hmm.
mean by that is
Hmm.
someone who is trained, someone who's objective, someone who understands how to run the tests, how to interpret the tests, how to present the information back, saying, whether you decide to do anything with this information is up to you, but I'm going to be impartial and I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you what your reality looks like. And so I'm wondering, have you run across any organizations or people, or what type of individual could play that role of being a doctor for the business with the framing that they're not coming in to do surgery, they're not
Hmm.
coming rip and replace, they're coming in to say, I know enough about internal medicine. I know enough about how our body, the business organism works to know where there's issues.
Yep.
When you have concerns, know that I will not try to just push pills or prescriptions or evasive surgery on you, but I'm truly going to give you the understanding of what your body is doing. Is there
Mhm.
anyone that plays the role of a doctor in a business context?
Number one, anybody that comes into the organization new pretty much is your doctor because they have no idea about the decisions that were made prior to them getting there. The problem that most new people have is they don't want to say anything because they're still new and they don't want to rock anybody's boat. What I've done and what's been successful for me when I come into a new organization is I use terminology to my advantage. I'm going to remain curious, right? And so I'm going to ask, okay, so wait, so why are we doing that again? And it's, oh, we've always done it that way. But why have we always done it that way? And what I've started to notice is starting to make the people who are the stakeholders at least start thinking about like, well, shoot, I really don't know why we do it like that anymore. So what I've done is because I'm new, I have a license to ask questions. Even if I know the answer, it's still a license for me to ask questions because I want everybody that's been in the room to start to really think about why are we doing this? Oh wow, I didn't even know I was hemorrhaging from the side until you said, "Hey, why is there blood on the floor?" I've been hemorrhaging for so long, I'm just used to it now. Right? It's like, wait, there's blood on the floor? And so now everybody now is looking at the blood. So now you start asking these questions because you're the new person, right? You're the person that now has the license to ask because you just genuinely don't know. I think it creates that opportunity now for the business to start looking at itself internally and saying, he raised some great questions. We just come in these meetings every day and we just say the same things and we get out of here. And a lot of times we feel like these are wasted meetings. Now you got somebody here challenging it. Hey, does anybody document that process in the case that somebody leaves or somebody's on vacation? We understand it now. And it's like, wow, we don't have that documented. So I think anybody new coming into an organization is by default a doctor because you got to do an examination, right, of the organization, of the business practices, of all of those things, just so you can understand how to do your job. So by default, you're examining the company. And number one, you want to make sure you still want to be there. And number two, to my point, you got to know how successful you can be working with the people that you're working with. And so you're automatically examining those opportunities. The second thing I would say is they should, companies should invite people who normally isn't in the room just every now and then, right? If you got an up and coming leader, bring them in the room because we treat diversity like it's a cancer or something, but it's like, I may have a different perspective that you've never thought about because I'm looking at it from a different lens that I can now bring out the best in all of us, right? I was a basketball coach for middle school girls for 8 years. Every day was a whirlwind, an experience because, hey, we got this important game and my star player is crying because somebody didn't speak in the hallway. So every day there's this opportunity to self-assess where we are as a unit. And I had to learn, number one, I'm not an eighth grade girl, right? So I had to really, how y'all feeling today? When we go into halftime of a game, and I just use sports analogies because sports is the way of bringing us all together. I would go to halftime of a game, whether winning or losing. My first question would be, what are y'all seeing out there? What's working and not working for you all? And I give them the opportunity to say, well, we tried this play 3 times. It's never worked yet. I don't know why we keep trying. And it's like, you know what? You're absolutely right. What do you recommend? Well, they're playing me like this. And so in essence, they become the doctor who's evaluating themselves without even realizing it because I've asked questions. And I think when you bring in diversity, when you bring in newer people who don't understand the context of how you guys are doing business, you by default become that examiner. You just have to make sure you're vocal in that approach.
I think that is such an apt way of putting it. I think you're probably one of the few that would come in and actually be bold and have the confidence to ask the questions. With there being so much disruption in the workplace right now, for those who are senior leaders who are being now almost ushered out, or massive restructuring where these companies are letting go of a lot of institutional knowledge, Do you think there's a place, and do you think there's any hope for those leaders who have really the deep experience to provide that almost outside counsel, to provide that as a service to companies to say, I'm not going to sell hours, I'll sell outcomes, or I'll provide outcomes. I'm going to come in, I will do this in this period of work, and I will come in and provide something that would take someone else 6 months. I can do it in 6 weeks because I know it. And that's something that is potentially a path for people that are going through a place of re-examining where their next step would be.